Today, we are going to master two essential tools for solving non-right-angled triangles: the area rule and the cosine rule. First, we will use the area rule to find the area of a triangle. Second, we will use the cosine rule to find a missing side or angle. And finally, we will learn to identify the specific criteria required to apply each rule. By the end of this lesson, you will be able to identify exactly which rule to use based on the information provided and solve IGCSE-style exam questions with confidence. Before we look at the formulas, let's establish a standard way to label our triangles. This is crucial for avoiding mistakes in the exam. We have a triangle with vertices capitalized A, B, and C representing the angles. The sides are labeled with lowercase a, b, and c. Notice that side lowercase a is always opposite angle capital A, side lowercase b is opposite angle capital B, and side lowercase c is opposite angle capital C. Most students find it easiest to work with these rules when the triangle is labeled this way. Whenever you see a triangle in your exam, the first thing you should do is check if the labels follow this pattern. First, let's explore the area rule. You already know that the area of a right-angled triangle is half the base times the height. But what if the triangle isn't right-angled? This formula allows us to find the area using two sides and the angle between them. The most important thing to remember is the criteria. You must have two sides and the included angle. That's the angle trapped right between the two sides you know. If you have side A and side B, you must use angle C. If the angle isn't between the sides, you cannot use this rule directly. Let's apply this to an IGCSE exam-style question. Calculate the area of triangle PQR. Side PR is 7 centimeters, side QR is 10 centimeters, and angle R is 43 degrees. First, we check our criteria. We have two sides, 7 and 10, and the angle 43 degrees is trapped between them. This is our included angle. Step 1 is to identify the sides and angle for the formula. A equals 7, B equals 10, and capital C equals 43 degrees. Now, we substitute these into our area rule formula. Using a calculator, we find that the area is 35 times the sine of 43 degrees, which is approximately 23.87. Our final answer is area equals 23.9 square centimeters, rounded to 3 significant figures. In the exam, always remember to include your units and round to the specified degree of accuracy, usually 3 significant figures. Now, let's move on to the cosine rule. This is a powerful extension of Pythagoras' theorem that works for any triangle. We use it when we are dealing with 3 sides and 1 angle. The side form of the cosine rule is a squared equals b squared plus c squared minus 2 times b times c times the cosine of a. The criteria for using this to find a missing side is having two sides and the included angle, often called side-angle side. Notice the structure. To find side lowercase a, you need the two other sides b and c, and the angle opposite the side you are looking for, which is angle capital A. See how the formula links the side A with its opposite angle A. Just like the area rule, this requires the included angle. Think of the sides B and C forming the arms of the angle A. If you have this set up, you can find the length of the side across from that angle. Here is an IGCSE exam-type example for finding a missing side. We are given side 1 as 8 meters, side 2 as 11 meters, and an included angle of 105 degrees. Here is our triangle. We have sides 8 and 11, the angle 105 degrees between them, and side X opposite that angle. We have two sides and the included angle, so we use the side form of the cosine rule. Let's set X as our side lowercase a. Step 1. X squared equals 8 squared plus 11 squared minus 2 times 8 times 11 times cosine of 105 degrees. Step 2. X squared equals 64 plus 100, 1 minus 176, times cosine of 105 degrees. Step 3. X squared equals 185 minus negative 45.5. Be very careful here with your signs. The cosine of an obtuse angle, like 105 degrees, is negative, subtracting a negative becomes a plus. Step 4. X squared equals 230.55. Step 5. X equals the square root of 230.55. The final answer is x equals 15.2 meters, rounded to 3 significant figures. Always do a quick sanity check. Since 105 degrees is the largest angle, 15.2 should be the longest side, which makes sense here. What if we know all 3 sides but don't know any of the angles? We can rearrange the cosine rule to solve for the angle. This is the second form of the cosine rule. To use it, you must have all 3 sides. This is known as the side-side-side or SSS criterion. The most critical part here is identifying which side is A. Side A must be the side opposite the angle you are trying to find. The other 2 sides, B and C, are the sides that enclose the angle. If you mix these up, you will get the wrong angle, so always double-check your labeling before you start calculating. Let's look at a typical exam question where you need to find an unknown angle. First, we must identify our sides. Since we want to find angle theta, the side opposite it must be side A. Step 1. Identify the sides. We set A as 9, B as 6, and C as 7. Now, substitute these into the angle form of the cosine rule. This simplifies to 36 plus 49 minus 81, all divided by 84, which gives us a cosine of theta equal to 4 over 84. To find the angle itself, we use the inverse cosine function on our calculator. The final answer is theta equals 87.3 degrees, when rounded to 1 decimal place. Remember, in IGCSE exams, angles are usually required to 1 decimal place, unless stated otherwise. Always check the instructions on the front of your exam paper. To wrap up, let's summarize when to use each of these rules. Choosing the right tool is half the battle in your exam. First, the area rule requires 2 sides and the included angle, known as SAS. Next, the cosine rule for finding a side also needs SAS to find the side opposite the given angle. Finally, the cosine rule for finding an angle requires all 3 sides or SSS. Here's a quick visual checklist. SAS leads you to the area or a missing side, while SSS leads you to a missing angle. Let's recap what we've done. We used the area rule 1/2 AB sine C. We used the cosine rule for sides and angles, and we identified the SAS and SSS criteria. Remember, the included angle is the secret to both the area rule and the side-finding version of the cosine rule. If the angle isn't trapped between the sides, you might need to use the sine rule instead, which we will cover in another lesson. Practice labeling your triangles and identifying these patterns, and you'll be well on your way to success. Good luck with your revision.